You want to know the biggest lie that you've been told about menopause? Yep, the biggest lie that you've been told about menopause is that it's all negative. It's all negative, and that it's something that we should be ashamed of, and that it's something we shouldn't be talking about, and it means that we're old, and it's not true. It's just a big lie. So I'm going to share with you something that I learned recently that completely blew my mind, because it was a super big mindset shift for me, and I'm going to share it with you because I'm thinking it might help you too. So I've been in menopause for almost 10 years now, and yes, I'm not going to say it hasn't been a struggle. Of course, there have been really tough things about it, but this mindset shift really has changed how I've been thinking about being postmenopausal, which is actually the correct term to use, postmenopausal. And did you know that we spend a third of our life in postmenopause? Yes, a third of our life is spent in postmenopause. So the number one biggest lie that you've been told is that it's all negative. And I'm going to share with you 4 things that we are gaining and that we need to be thinking about as super positive that makes menopause actually a beautiful, enriching, interesting, enlightening phase of life. So yes, I know most menopause advice talk about the struggles and what's hard and the hot flashes and the brain fog and the joint pain. And I've done many videos talking about the symptoms and how they're tough to deal with. But the 4 things that I think we have to now also focus on to help us have a more positive attitude towards this phase of life is, number 1, that we're so much more powerful than we ever were before. Once you hit menopause, once you hit your 40s and 50s, you become a powerhouse. Yes, ladies, we are so much more powerful than we've ever been before. We know how to stand up for ourselves. We know how to make ourselves heard. We don't give a you-know-what about what other people think. We know how to set boundaries. Many of us are making career changes and following our passion and just stepping into our power. I know for me, I made a huge career change in my 40s. I was in the corporate world for most of my professional life. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? This is not fulfilling me anymore. I don't want to be sitting in front of a computer all day, every day. I'm really passionate about helping women be healthy, happy, and pain-free after 40. I got to figure out a way that I can do this and have it sustain me financially and otherwise. So that is number 1. We got to step into our power, and we are stepping into our power. So let's remember this, let's celebrate this, and let's remember that this is a positive part of our life, a positive point about being after, over 40, postmenopause. So the second thing is awareness. Yes, this is a time when we become much more self-aware. We're much more self-aware of who we are, what we want, what's important to us, how do we want to be spending our life. So I think that we need to also celebrate this new self-awareness, which is super, super, super important. We understand now, ourselves so much better. Maybe some of us have been in therapy. Maybe some of us are still in therapy. Maybe some of us need to go to therapy. A friend of mine who's a therapist has told me once that therapy is a gift that you give to yourself. So if you think that it might help you, I encourage you to seek out a good therapist and help them to help you understand yourself a bit better. But even without therapy, I think just being at this phase of our life, we have such a greater understanding of ourselves, what's important to us, who we want to be around, starting to not really want to be around some of the toxic people in our life. That's a whole nother discussion. But self-awareness, just awareness in general, I think is another huge positive thing that we need to be celebrating about this stage of our life. So that's thing number 2. Thing number 3, gotta check my notes, is wisdom. Yes, we are wise. We are wise. We're probably the wisest we've ever been in our whole life. We have 40, 50, 60, 70 years of life Think of all that experience. Think of all the knowledge that you have gained. We have to celebrate our wisdom, celebrate our experience, celebrate that the things that we know now that maybe we wish we knew 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but the fact is we know them now. So we are wise women. We need to celebrate that. We need to give thanks for that. We need to share our wisdom in whatever way we can. It's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos, my way of sharing my experience and sharing what I have learned in my 60 years of life. So that is the third thing. We are wise and we gotta celebrate that. We are no longer just baby making machines. Yes, maybe we're no longer fertile, giving up, we can't have children anymore, but that's not the point of life. That's not the reason. That's not the only reason women were created, is to have children. I personally have no children. So we have lots of other things to celebrate and to be happy about. And then the last thing is kind of related to one or two of the others that I mentioned before: confidence, self-confidence. It's related to our power. We are so much more confident than we have ever been in our entire life. We are so much more confident. We don't care so much about what other people think. Maybe, for some of us, we're still struggling with that. I still struggle with that a little bit, but for sure, much more confident than I've ever been before. I do things because I want to. I don't really care so much about what other people think anymore. And ladies, this is huge. This is huge, to be confident in what you want. And that is something that we need to be celebrating, and that we wouldn't have all this newfound confidence if we were not post-menopause. So let me know if you agree with me that there is lots of stuff to celebrate in this phase of life. And just to recap, step into your power, be aware of your self-awareness, wisdom, yes, celebrate your wisdom, share your wisdom, and lastly, self-confidence. So much more confident than we've ever been before. So let me know if you agree with these, if I'm forgetting something, if this helps you approach this phase of life with a more positive outlook. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all just about joint pain and brain fog. So let me know if you agree. And I have other resources I'd love to share with you. I have a free menopause self-care toolkit. I'm going to link below. It has some really great affirmations in there. It has other wellness resources that are free that I want to share with you. Please, you could download that. And I'm going to link to another video here. I think it's here, that may help you to approach this phase of life with positivity and optimism. So let me know what you think. Any comments, questions? Love to hear from you. See you again soon.